So I got number 2 over here today, and I pulled the aftercooler air piping off underneath, and I've got it off the top here. Let's get up here and have a look. So we got a boost leak on this one, and I had made these test plates years ago. So from what I can see, right down there on the top where the header is, it's bubbling, and it's doing the same thing on the other corner. And it's really common for these to leak in the corners, just like a radiator is. Anyway, so I kind of thought it was probably the O-rings down there where it hooks to the aftercooler. They were kind of sloppy, and it may be leaking there because the leaks I saw here, I pumped this up to 30 pounds of boost, and the leaks were so slow that you could watch the digital gauge go like 29.9, 29.8, so real small leaks here. But I'm gonna have to, I think it's the only way to do this, because this aftercooler goes under this header. Easiest way, I think, is just lift the whole radiator and the aftercooler off, then pull the aftercooler out. Now, if you want to take the fan out and probably take these guards off, you could probably get the aftercooler back far enough to fit up in between here and get it out. And then that way, well, you still got to drain the water because you got to undo that outlet over there. So that's what Jeffrey's doing. Anyhowsers, I've had enough for one day. I think I'm just going to clean up my tools and go work on a video. Oh, I got my ears trimmed too. If you noticed, Mrs. Anderson likes to butch me. She likes her men butch. So anyway, you folks have a great evening. I took this out, sandblasted it really good in here, and I have used 1 whole roll of Terrell putty on this side and 1.5 rolls on this side here. And then I slammed those up in there so that it fits. Now, as far as welding that on, I'm going to have to clean some of the putty off of here. And then the plan is to tip it upside down and fill this up with water into here, and then very carefully tack it. Don't get it too hot. So Terrell putty is made by Valco of Cincinnati. It's a good product, and it's good up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. 400 freedom degrees. Anyway, Belzona, I looked at Belzona, but it's so hard to get. I'd have to order it. There's just nobody around here that carries it. And Belzona is good for $3.92, so pretty much the equivalent. But I don't know what happened here. Only thing I can think is that really hard impact that this thing took cracked it in here. Because when you slam another scraper with a push-pull, the impact is pretty severe. And that's what tears up radiators and aftercoolers. So I found it, somebody's making them aftermarket, found it on eBay or something. $7,000, but it said it was aluminum. Well, you can't use aluminum unless you get a blast guard. And God, who is it? Modine made all this stuff for Cat. And so getting that hex-shaped material for a blast guard, I have yet to find a supplier anywhere that offers that. Maybe Modine makes it, and they don't offer it to the public because they're still making it to put on current production machines. On Killdozer, we used a D8N or R blast guard, and it covered pretty much all of it except in the corners and down the side. But this is where you get your blast right here, little here and some down here. Not so much here, not so much there. And you can see where it's taken whatever finish. They put some kind of a plating on it. They're copper tubes, but they have some kind of plating on them. So this tube right here had after I blasted it and cleaned it up, I could see a little teeny hole in the corner way up here at the top. So I'm hoping I got enough stuff over that to kill it. Could you make one? Yeah, possibly. If you could probably get the drawings from Cat. But if they didn't make it, maybe there isn't drawings. Cat should have the drawings. But this piece, you can tell because of the way it's bent that this was formed using a die. Then they weld these end plates in, weld the mounting blocks, and then this piece here looks fabbed to put in. The other thing you could do, if I could find an old one that was no good, was figure out where to cut it off in here, and then see, this is basically 2 units. So I don't know how wide that is. Just out of curiosity, I wonder. Let's get a tape measure. See. Where'd the tape measure go? Tape measure is gone. Yeah, the boys went out to get those parts off that Wabco truck, the other one they bought, and get them home and get the wheel on it. And then Sunday, we'll probably go get it, the last one. Anyway, that's about, I think it's a good 48 inches wide. Each one of those maybe 2 feet. So if you could buy these already put together with, the header in it, so you could just weld it, you could fix them. But I mean, they're damn good quality to last this long. Really good quality. But it's always the corners that tear out of them. And I think if you had a new one, first thing you'd want to do is take probably the first 3 tubes and plug them off. It's really super hard to weld on these. The filthy whore had a crack down in here, and I welded on it and then it grinded out. And well, anyway, it's just the inside of it is so full of like oily debris, and I steamed it, but you just can't get it off. And so it's tough to weld old stuff like this. Anyway, like we had some tubes here that got damaged, and so just as a preemptive, I blasted it and put a gob of that stuff on there here and there just to keep it from blowing a hole through it. If they want $7,000 for an aftermarket, I bet Cat would want 14 if they still built, new ones. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is going to be the fun part. I'm almost wondering if a guy ought to weld something down here, bring it up to here, and weld it. I don't know. Aftercooler test plate, special tool, 073654K79er. That's the part number.
Y ella está completamente endurecida. De todos modos, esta cosa aquí es hecha por Valcode. Tal vez la hizo Terrell. Tienen los dientes de conejo, es un buen producto. aguantará hasta 400 grados de temperatura. Y arreglamos los otros enfriadores en los otros raspadores con esto. Nunca tuvimos un problema.
No entiendo.
Pero este tomó un impacto fuerte cuando me ascendió en un trabajo.
We're welding these sides back on. This one has an 1/8 inch arc rod that I pounded the flux off and stuffed in here. And what we're the aftercooler's full of water, but this gets pretty hot, and this is right up against the putty. So Jake welds a little bit, and then I take a wet rag and put on this and cool it down to try to prevent too much damage to that putty in there. And it got late. He's got to go somewhere, so we gave up. So tomorrow morning we'll finish filling this in. And the other side, that's pretty much done there. So on this side, let's see, how did I do that? I think on this side I used a tube and a half a Terrell putty, and on this side I used a full tube. But it's just leaking on this last tube on the outside, so I got plenty of material in there, and that's why I don't want to overheat it and damage that. It's probably, I'm going to say 3/8 or a little more thick of putty between that tube, so it's the distance from here to here. That's probably more like a 1/2 inch or better putty in there. Anyway, I filled it with water and found one more leak, and this has been there since the factory. They had a pinhole. You can see the rust right there, so I'll have to clean that out. We'll have to get that fixed, and then we can go ahead and pressure test it, make sure we haven't got any more leaks, and it can go back in. All right, I got 27 pounds of pressure on her. It's got water in it. I don't see any leaks, don't hear anything. I spit on this. No leakies out of that. Jeff wins. Jeff wins. All right, we're ready to go back in. Hey Jake, did you guys decide to put something on it?
Is that a fairly successful YouTube channel, gentlemen?
Did someone give you permission? You gotta have permission at this facility.
Is this trademark?
And don't tell me Thomas Jefferson gave you permission.
I'm here on public property. Okay, it's private, sorry.
What do we forget? Anything to find out about later? What?
General safety.
Who cares about that? Those are more like guidelines.
So I've been working on the scraper on number 2. I just can't get the boost it should have, and so I wonder if this bypass valve's leaving. Now this has been disabled. I've taken it apart inside, turned the springs around so they push on this valve so that it can never open. But I took it out, and there was a couple of spots on it where you could see that it wasn't making contact. Now there are some spots on here where it's shiny, but there's a couple. There's one right there where I think she's been leaking. So if you're leaking exhaust gas pressure, it can't spin the turbo. It's just going bye-bye. And this housing is broke where this bolt hole went. Been broke for a long time. The pieces fell out. And this is all ate up and gone. That's a aftermarket that's like $2,500, and there's no reason for it. It's only there for high altitude operation. You can overspeed them old T1810s, and they're a worthless turbo anyway. So if you upgrade, you can do away with that. So this is where it goes inside. And I had Jake make this plate. He did an awesome job. He cut it out with a Plaz, and then he took it down on his milling machine and cleaned it all up, made it flat. So that'll cover that hole. And then right here, I took it in the machine shop into S&G, and D. Hansen, he's my age, he's a good machinist, told him what I needed. I needed that plugged, so what he did is he set it up, and that's a nice round 2-inch cast hole, but as you measure it, you know, it's 20-30 thousandths out of rounds. So he bored that with a ledge down in there, a lip, and then he cut a plug out of cast iron, and then he heated this up and put it in there so it can't come out. Now the hole in the manifold is a D shape, so it can never fall out into that, and it should stay there. So that will stop the exhaust gas from going up in through here and just bypassing. So right there is the seat that sits on. That's the hole that comes up, and then over in here is where it just goes up and out the elbow and wastes it. Now Cat has discontinued this part, but you can buy it aftermarket. And I'm pretty sure we replaced this when we overhauled the scraper. And this is a genuine Cat part, but it cracked here, as you can see. So Jake put a little brass on it, and that fixed it. So anyway, tomorrow I will have the gaskets. So everything's tight now. It's just a matter of getting the exhaust to stop leaking, bypassing. Anyway, I'll get it figured out. Okay, I'm going to film this in an effort to not use any bad four-letter words. So you get to watch this. This is going to be fun. Very fun. I put anti-seize in here to help seal that piston ring, make it go in easier. Just anti-seize, it'll burn up somewhat. Leaves a residue to help seal it. This is pretty corroded in here. I probably should have had him sleeve it, but there's not much meat right in this general area. That's a poor casting. It's a poor one. Okay, so now let me show you the gasket that goes in there. It ain't much, and you got to be careful with it. So this is the gasket. They're graphite. 9SAM 3034. So I have to get that on, and the elbow, put bolts on it. All at the same time, or try to put it on, then slip this gasket in underneath later. So I'll try that method first, see how it goes. It goes on quite easy with nothing there. So See if I can find a bolt to just kind of hang it on there for a minute.
Just a minute. There, now I get out my anti-seize and dope the bolts up so I don't have to take them out a second time. I'm using my marine grade anti-seize, good for 2400 degrees. I should have wrote the guy's name on the bottle, but I didn't, so I can't remember who it was, so all I can say is thank you very much, sir. It's not silver. I don't know what the difference between marine grade and regular is. The regular, it turns you into the Tin Man. That's what I used on here before. So we're going to go with this stuff, see how it does. If I have to take it apart again at some point, we'll see how well it comes undone. These weren't too bad to get off because they had the silver stuff on it. So now, let's see, what do I got to do? I got to see if I can lift this up enough to get a gasket under it. I don't know if it's possible. Take this bolt out. And I don't want to work too good. Oh, that's in. Top's in. Woohoo, maybe, dear. Maybe I'm huffing. What's going on? He thinks I'm going to start it. We're not starting yet, Bob. We got quite a ways to go here. Calm down. Calm down.
All right, so this is a Griff. Calm down. That's where the gasket went there and the bolts. So this is the cover Jake built, and the gasket on it's quite thick. So what we need to do now is kind of try to get this pushed around so that it's as close in as on that coupler as it'll go, and then snug the bolts up. Somehow pull it up like that and try to do it without messing things up. There. I think she's in where she needs to be. So now we just gotta start tightening bolts. Yeah, see what I think of this operation. Now we got it out here. Never have to mark it. Never have to take it again. So that's how that works. There was the hole right there. Exhaust comes up here. This is where the valve sits. Then when it opens, it allows exhaust to go through here. You probably can't see it in there. There's a slot there. So it's like a wastegate, only not. It bypasses exhaust before it gets to the turbo. Anyway, if you wanted to put a switchblade on a 1693, this is the exact setup you need. If you get it with a 3 3/4 cat housing, and these are usually all 75mm, and I think a 75mm is all you'd need on a 1693. I'd like to try a 75 when I convert the Filthy Whore over to switchblade to see how that works, because I know the smaller turbo is going to spool even faster. So what Jim has to do is they take a 75mm housing and they bore it in here to fit that 78mm compressor wheel. But if you get this set up, the 1693 is going to have a hard pipe just like this over to the aftercooler or to the intake on the models that don't have it. Anyway, you'll be able to put this right on and it'll fit. Now on the truck ones, well, let me back up. On the scraper ones, you've got this coupler, and on the truck ones you have that coupler. Now they don't have this deal for a bypass on the truck ones, and so there's just a little teeny deal that comes up here The coupler goes in that, and then on the other side they've got a V-band clamp assembly for truck. So if you go to a switchblade, you can eliminate that bracket and this leaky coupler. You'll just get one of these housings set up for truck, and they go right on piece of cake, just like it was made for it. So should we start it without the muffler? Ooh, that'd be cool, huh? You want to hear it without the muffler? There's the muffler. Let's do that. Why don't we try that? Let's see how she works without the muffler. So I've got a little more boost. I'm up around 23 and a half PSI. So at this point, I think I got to open the rack just a little. Now, 22 PSI on a 343 is stock. And I'm going to open it up just a little bit. I want to get up to about 25, 27, somewhere in there. So I have fixed all the leaks and problems, and I've gained quite a bit of boost. So fixing leaks is over with. The other thing I need to do on the top of the governor control is a little connector, and you take a light and you hook the ground to that, and then hook the other end of the battery, and then floor it with the retarder on. And if the light lights up when you get up there and you get boost and the AFR lets go of the rack, that means you're getting full rack travel. If the light doesn't come on, that means that your air fuel ratio needs adjusted because it's holding the rack back and it's not letting it fully go against the stop. Once the rack, there's a little lever there, goes against the torque spring, that creates a ground continuity and the light turns on. So I need to make sure that the air-fuel ratio isn't holding it up. If it's not, then I just need to open the fuel a little bit more, and we're good to go.